Boa noite a todos. Welcome back to Tom Plays EU4 for absolute beginners. We're back with Portugal and we're finally colonising. Not a problem. They're making claims. So yeah, colonising. Just allow those ships to recover. So what basically happens is you have a certain number of colonists. So in this case we only have one. You can usually have up to 3, although there are 1 or 2 nations with exceptions to that. So our colonist is currently occupied, building this colony. Now the colony could carry on without him. So in theory we could send him on to this one and leave that colony to shift for itself. The problem with that is that if we look at our economic screen, if we have more than 1 colonies, the cost grows quadratically for any beyond. So if we have a second colony, it won't cost us 4 to maintain it, which we could manage. It'll cost us 6. Like it'll cost us 4 for the new colony and 6 in total. So generally speaking, especially as Portugal, we really can't afford to do that. So we're basically just going to leave the colonist until this colony is full. The colonist will make the colony grow a bit faster. So, worth doing. So yeah, the other aspect of this is, if you notice, we couldn't actually have sent a colonist here. Not only because we don't have any colonists free, but the province is too far away. We have a colonial range, which will go up with technology, with ideas, with a few things, but at the moment Sierra Leone is 232 distance away and our colonial range is only 200. This is why it's quite essential to be quite fast off the mark with colonising. Like, this is a very good option because it's generally in range and it gives you, basically our range from now on is going to be from Capo Verde once the colony's full, so it'll bring a lot of West Africa into range. Okay, so I imagine because we've got the drop on them, yeah, I don't think Castile is going to be able to reach anywhere, so they may end up colonising this area to start with, finishing off the Canaries. But yeah, I don't think they'll be that interested in Africa. So yeah, that's the basic starting point of colonising. There is another aspect to it. Depending on the region we're in, colonies take different forms. So islands, Africa, Russia, well, Siberia, that sort of area, these are quite normal. We colonise them and it's as if we conquered them, except there are less uprisings. As a rule, perfectly normal. Some of the other areas, the Americas and Australia and areas around there, once you have colonised 5 provinces, they then form a colonial nation, which is like a separate country. It's a bit like having a vassal, which we haven't had in Portugal, but it has completely different rules. And if we can get them up to 10 provinces in one of these colonial nations, they give us an extra trader, which is going to be invaluable for getting our money up, which, as I never seem to tire of mentioning, is a problem when you're Portugal. So yeah, so basically we're probably going to follow the mission tree in as far as we can. So our current mission is colonise West Africa, which we're doing, but from then on we're going to have Central Africa, we're going to have go westward, and we're going to have the Cape of Good Hope. Some of this is exploration, but yeah, we're going to try and follow these insofar as we can. But we're also not going to turn our noses up at getting anything extra if the opportunity arises. Christopher Columbus. Right, we have an option, I think, to hire him. So I think he is a good quality explorer. However, because we now have too many explorers, we will have to pick one. I suspect we'll be switching over to Christopher Columbus. Yeah, he's a 2-star. But we've got too many military leaders, so we're going to be losing 1 military point per month, which we do not want. So the one we're not currently using, we're going to dismiss. There we go. Okay, I'm not sure what I did wrong there. It appears that I didn't manage to actually load any troops onto the ships then. It's mildly annoying. So if you remember, we were expecting an uprising in Abda, but that seems to have gone down a little. None of these uprisings are huge. Well, actually, that's a potential uprising in the home countries. But yeah, at the moment I'm planning to move the entire army over to Africa, on the assumption we're more likely to get uprisings over there. Although we will need some of them at some point for the colonies as well. At which point we'll be splitting our armies up enormously, which is why we could do with as much stability as possible, and is also why we probably won't be doing any conquering. So yeah, normally when I'm growing a colony, I will have an army, preferably about 6,000 people, protecting that colony. Now we can explore again. Only doing it with cogs, but we'll have to make do. So I might possibly reassign our existing navy to be the colonial navy, having managed to lose most of the previous colonial navy, and then start building up a military navy again. Once I've moved all the troops. That's the thing. Pleased to see we're still making money. Could probably potentially get a military advisor. Although I'd like one, if possible, that would save us some money. Which we don't really have. We've got morale and we've got reinforced speed at the moment. I do kind of wonder if that's worth it for Portugal. So we're not really planning anything particularly exciting militarily for quite some time to come. So in a lot of ways it doesn't matter as much as you'd think if we actually fall behind a little. I'm actually considering using some military points to try to improve the spread of the Renaissance. So here we go, we have finally discovered South America. I did miss it quite badly there. A bit further south than we should have been. Not to worry. The Italian Wars. Okay, not really our problem. So we're currently doing our exploring in a couple of cogs, which are just transport ships. So if we come across a pirate or something, we could be in a lot of trouble. But as it is, you tend to get damaged less if you're exploring a coast. And certainly travelling by coast. So it's quite useful being able to make our way back north along the coast. Quite keen not to leave the ships unattended this time. At least until they're on the way back to port. Been far too careless with ships. Honestly, I don't think I've ever been this bad before. So what else? Still got disloyal estates, that's fine, that will be fixed over time. What have we got? Alright, brilliant. Okay, that's good. So, got a couple of things we can do there. We're now able to get one of these papal blessings. Now we're actually quite high, amazingly, probably because of that event we just had on both prestige and legitimacy. So there's a number of these. This one costs more, so we're probably not going to go for that. It gives you extra stability, but we're actually not doing too badly, even on stability. So let's see. This is good if you have loans, which we don't. That's prestige, that's legitimacy. Prestige is always good. That's only useful if you're in a war, which we hopefully won't be. This one improves diplomatic reputation, which is always good. This one gives you extra money if you mainly rely on trade, and this one gives you extra money if you mainly rely on tax. What I'm thinking we should do as Portugal right now is do the tax one. I think we could use the extra money. So I'm going to levy a church tax, and I'm actually going to put 10 more papal influence into becoming the next courier controller. Okay. Oh boy. Right, so apparently Granada separatists have risen up in a big way and are giving Castile a difficult time. I've had this before. So we're just going to refuse this again. Gain yet more prestige, which is good. Getting very close to 100. Looks like our diet may have run out, so we might be in a position to summon another one, which is good news. So that's... oh no, apparently not. Okay. Well, not to worry then. Right, so what I do want to do is pull up the... You see our tech penalty now is 19%, so this is getting more of a concern. Its maximum from one institution is 50, but still it's going to cost us a lot more to gain technology. So, Lisboa. I am thinking, so it looks like any of these countries would be useful, might put some military power in to try and raise our Renaissance embracement. 2811. So I'm just going to try to increase our military power. There we go. So I've used all the military power we had. I've now got us to nearly 60%, which is a lot better. Porto might have been a better option, but the advantage of Lisboa is that once any province embraces a technology, it then starts spreading to the ones around it. Yeah, okay, doesn't affect us. So it should increase the speed at which these two provinces start gaining it. Now Porto would have been the same, but it would have also increased the speed at which Castile got it, which isn't really the idea. I kind of want to increase it centrally in Portugal. There aren't any really central provinces. I suppose we could have gone for this one, but it obviously has a lot further to go, and it's only gaining 0.07 a month, whereas Lisboa's gaining quite quickly. So it's really between Lisboa and Porto, and Lisboa really is the best option as a rule, it being our capital, even though Porto is great. I mean, it's where the name Portugal comes from. It's the original Portuguese province before they spread directly south for some reason. So yeah, so we've sacrificed a lot of military power there. I'm not necessarily going to do that again. It's a little risky, but at the same time I do want the Renaissance to spread. With the same thought in mind, I need to keep our money reasonably high so that we're in a position to embrace it. The cost of embracing it will go down as it spreads more across the country, but we first need some countries to accept it. We can't embrace it until it gets above this bar, and right now it has no presence at all in Portugal. Whereas you see it's starting to spread among the Italian countries, and it's actually into France, Provence, Hungary, so it's starting to spread significantly across the world, Cyprus. So yeah, we do want to start getting it, if we possibly can. Okay, so I think that's most of the things we need to do. We're mostly going to be moving our troops still, and exploring, and basically just waiting for the colony to finish. So it can be a bit slow moving to start with. We'll ultimately have 3 colonies going at once, and also colonial nations doing their own thing, so things will speed up. Right, we have actually recovered already. Finished improving relation with Jolof. Kind of wondering if we really ought to be possibly allying the Congo, because we certainly seem to have some quite good relations with them as things stand. So I might possibly look at that, because we do still have a 4th relationship slot. Let's turn this down a bit. It's going to explore up the coast a bit for now. Actually possibly explore the Caribbean. So one thing to bear in mind, a colonial nation tends to be a trading nation as well. As Portugal, we're going to depend a lot on trade. It's basically going to counteract the issues we have with money. And the most important trade node that you can take control of, which we will look at again when we start getting traders, is the Caribbean. So we definitely want a good strong presence in the Caribbean. I think we're only required by our mission tree to have a single province, but I'm not planning to stick at a single province. I'm kind of planning to take over as much of the Caribbean as we can, because it's just so important from a trade perspective. But of course, to take it over, we first need to discover it. So our diplomats heading home. I don't want to go too far. I want to start being more cautious, because we're not really in a hurry. We don't even get the mission to discover the Caribbean until we've already finished our first colony, which we're not that close to doing. So, especially once I've reassigned the entire navy, I think we will begin being really cautious. It's worth bearing in mind that most of these places will be far easier to explore once we have ports we can land at nearby. And even if we don't entirely control the ports of our colonial nations, we'll still be able to land ships at them and repair. So we don't want to worry too much either. Okay, slow down again. Looks like we're able to enact a government reform once again. So this is bureaucracy. Now I'm inclined to centralise it. Max promoted cultures. You see, we don't really need that. We don't have a lot of cultures in Portugal. It's basically Portugal and Morocco and maybe a bit of Marrakesh. We've got enough. Whereas centralised will give us a monthly autonomy change, which will give us better tax and such like things. So let's have a centralised bureaucracy, which is brilliant. Okay. So I think this is the final bit of our army to move across. So one thing that might be worth mentioning while we're moving them is that every province has what they call a supply limit, which is effectively the size of an army that it can sustain. So we're actually just able to sustain our army of 24,000 soldiers in this province. So we can leave them there and they'll be fine. We move them to Avda, they'll start taking damage. They'll get a little skull symbol and they'll start taking damage. Even more so, I think, in haha. So you'll often find the more developed provinces have higher supply limits, and also it goes up with technology. But as it happens, we're in quite a good place to keep the army at the moment, which is good news. I'm actually thinking I might keep these ships here simply because we're going to need to ship 6,000 troops at some point. So I might not necessarily worry about the fact that we're exploring purely with cogs. So it probably won't be that long before we're going to actually need troops somewhere. So that's 273. We're not going to be able to colonise the Caribbean immediately, I don't think. Oh, 252. Actually, we might be able to. 259. 67. It's not bad. We don't need much of an increase to be able to do that. Even the right advisor might do it for us. I think there's a diplomatic advisor that gives you plus 50% colonial range. So that would probably do it. Okay, so Congo doesn't actually want an alliance. Oh, because we're so far away. So once we start colonising nearby, we will be able to ally them. For now, let's improve relations with our allies. So that is Castile, I think Brittany, and the Papal State. So it's good to periodically just improve with your allies. Okay, brilliant. Let's speed up time a bit. We probably want to... The first thing that's likely to happen is that our ships will recover. Okay, Saxony has just become the Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, which is a change. It's usually Austria, but it doesn't affect us at all. When it starts changing, it usually means that Austria has failed. I mean, it's generally quite difficult to run the Holy Roman Empire, and I've yet to see the computer actually succeed in any reasonable sense. So it's not really a surprise. It's not something we need to pay any real attention to. They're quite a way away from Portugal. No intention of really ever having anything much to do with them. Might actually, seeing as we're not in a hurry, just fill in some of these blanks so we can move a bit more directly. We'll probably take damage more quickly doing this, but it's not a problem. We discovered a spy, which is good. So just because we're not spying doesn't stop the other countries from doing it. Okay, got another diplomatic idea. Overseas exploration. So that, on its own, will allow us to reach the Caribbean, plus 50% colonial range, which is perfect. Okay, and I think we did get one of our national ideas as well, Legacy of the Navigator. So that's making our navy more powerful, so we must start rebuilding it. Alright, so we've got a philosopher, so we can either imprison him, which will lose. I think this is a bad one anyway, we always lose things, which the clergy will like, but we will lose our advisor. Or we can allow him to remain free, which will lose us quite a few things. I think we'd better go for imprisonment. Okay. So let's just see if we have any alternative advisors. No good ones, it would appear. Unfortunately. I mean, this one is expensive. He would give us a +2 and he would give us a bit of money back by modifying the tax. So I suppose we could try him in order to gain administrative power quickly. Or we could have this one, yearly inflation reduction. So that is completely useless to us. But at the same time, is much cheaper. He's like a quarter of the price. So let's go for him. Might even take a military one as well. So we'll have 3 advisors. Might be temporary, but we do seem to be doing quite well, so why not bolster our power? If nothing else, we can use them to increase the spread of the Renaissance. To avoid forgetting about ships. Okay, we've lost some of our claims, which is good. We didn't actually want claims against Castile. That's perfect, and we don't really even want these claims. So that's fine. I'm going to send this back to port, I think. Okay, so we lose prestige or we lose diplomatic power. I'm going to lose diplomatic power this time. Your diplomatic power can go negative. We won't be able to do any development. But I'm a little more relaxed about our national ideas now. We've lost one of our rivals. So this is a costly trade embargo now. So we do need to cancel this. It's down to economy actions and we revoke the embargo. They're just not a suitable... Oh, I see. Yeah, Tunis has been crushing them. They're not a suitable rival for us anymore. We still have disloyal estates. Independence. That's fine. Not a huge issue. Let's keep going for now. How's the colony doing? It's getting there. Deteriorating relations with a nobility. Okay, well that's not good. Okay, this is unfortunate, but I'm not sure. Can I afford an uprising of that magnitude? Let's do it. I don't like it. They're probably still going to gain some autonomy anyway. I don't see any particular reason to put up with this. It's just a shame that one's appeared on Madeira. It's going to have much more trouble fighting them because we've currently only got room for 6 ships. Now we are going to need military access. Yeah, I'm beginning to wonder if this was a mistake. Never mind. Made the decision, so let's stick to it. Maybe just go there while morale recovers. Alright, I'm going to have to ask for military access. And apparently we have too few rivals now. So we'll go with them. These guys down. Fill it. Oh. Here we are. Oh. I suppose it's too late to stop them now, isn't it? They were about to attack Morocco. Shame. Okay, so Castile has had the Iberian wedding, which is a very big deal. They now have a personal union of Aragon and probably Naples as well. So Castile has just become something like twice as powerful for basically nothing. It's another reason why we want to keep them on board. possible if we leave Madeira long enough that the noble rebels will actually just themselves magically transport to the mainland. So we may not need to worry about it. I think I'm going to head for Lisboa first. Try and relieve the siege. One thing we haven't really covered is that active forts will automatically reclaim land that borders them. So that might come in handy as well. So yeah, apparently they're going to relocate over here, so that's good. So we'll be in the right place to deal with them all. It's not too bad. Not too worried about these just yet. You see they're actually heading into Castile now, so if we're lucky, Castile may actually deal with them for us. Oh, okay, apparently they're determined to fight us, so fair enough. Let's just fortify ourselves and prepare for the onslaught. At least we should be the defender. You do sometimes find that your allies will come and deal with rebels for you. But they do need to have military access to your country to do that. Maybe I should offer them military access. I haven't really thought about that. There we go. Who knows, they're probably a bit busy, to be fair. I need to siege that area down. But not to worry, we can probably afford to turn the speed up a little. Yeah, you see, they're actually coming in. I should have thought of that at the start. Nothing else, it might at least reclaim some of these areas for us. Just going to move here, because I think we're about to get invaded. So I want our troops basically sat here ready, but in the meantime Castile is sitting there ready to help us. Okay, so I think we've got enough admin power to get workshops. We're now at a 22% disadvantage, so that was far more expensive than it should have been, but I do think it was worth just getting the extra, because we're still quite a way from actually embracing the Renaissance. Oh, this is good. We will get events like this more and more as we get our ideas in place and colonise more. Excellent. Austria has embraced the Renaissance. Okay, brilliant. So I would actually need to activate this fort for that to be dealt with, it seems. Even though it was acting as a fort when it was attacked, it doesn't seem to automatically do this while it's mothballed, but it looks like Castile are dealing with it for us. So we probably don't need to worry. Move the ships over. Yep, they should come over any second, and we've got a national decision available. De Heretico Comburent. Okay, so we can make it a punishment. We should probably go for this, because it's basically about being a loyal Catholic. Form Spanish nation militarily. So that one's in there for if you ever actually conquer the whole of Castile and Aragon. Not convinced we're going to manage that. Certainly not something I'd be aiming for if it's your first time being Portugal. Unless you're very, very confident. Oh, things go extremely well. Okay, so we've got every province back except for Madeira. The nobles have come to attack. Brilliant. It looks like Castile are actually helping a little. So Madeira is still occupied, so I'm going to send some troops over to retake it. I'm going to move the rest of the troops back to Africa. Go support this missionary again. So hopefully that will be the end of the Nobles' Rebellion. We might cancel our military access because I think it does cost us money. Although we still are gaining a fair bit, which is good considering we have a full complement of advisors. Used to struggling much more than this for money with Portugal. I do need to bear in mind we've still got that papal blessing for tax though, so that will be making a difference and it will wear off at some point. Okay, so they've surrendered, so that rebellion is now thoroughly over, so hopefully we made the right decision. I do want to improve relations with a few more people. Might cancel military access, seeing as we don't need it. So that's cancelling the military access we asked them for. Not going to revoke their military access because we have no need to. So if anything, that will cause them to give us money. Let's improve relations with Poland. Okay, brilliant. So now the ships have arrived, we can reform our army. Although to be fair, we probably will be looking to carve 6,000 troops off it anyway. But not to worry. Let's do some more exploring. Let's go discover the Caribbean. So I think the next institute that will fire after the Renaissance is colonialism. So we do have a reasonable chance of actually being the originators of that. Especially after putting all that military power into Lisboa. So it means Lisboa is reasonably well developed now. You know, I live in hope. In fact, I think I'm going to put some more in. Don't want to use any diplomatic power. Might put an admin power in, just to balance it out a bit. Okay. Okay, well this looks promising. I don't know exactly how the game decides which territories we can see and can therefore colonise and which are terra incognita. To me it seemed a little random. I've sort of noticed that I'll get some territories one game. Oh, Papal State. He's now the Curia controller. Okay, so we'll put a bit in to becoming the next one. Just 5 this time. So again, quarantine the port. Always the best option. So yeah, I don't know if it's actually random as to which we can see, so we will need conquistadors for these areas. Although if we don't have a... oh, brilliant. If we don't have a specific reason for choosing one area over another, then it may be worth just colonising a nearby area and not worrying about the conquistadors. Right, okay, so we've fulfilled a mission, colonise West Africa. So now we want to settle in Central Africa, we want to go westward. New Brazil, Cape of Good Hope. Okay, I think I'm getting confused. It doesn't look like we have any missions to do with the Caribbean at all, but still, it's extremely important. So, how about we take this St. Martin? So we're sending a colonist. However, that does mean that we now need to also send some troops. So I'm going to just, may as well load these up, I suppose. And I'll send 6,000 troops over to St. Martin. Because this time we have 500 natives, not very many, but they're quite aggressive. There's a 4% chance per month of a native uprising, and the ferocity plus 10% damage bonus. So we'll see. They're not very aggressive, but the problem is that we're going to see this. And it's not nice, but generally the best way to colonise is to be horrible. So what it amounts to. So you can see this is now a normal province that we can develop and use and whatever we think best. These ships not actually on a mission. Because if they're not, then they really should be. Were you the Ivory Coast ships? I think you might have been. Where are the other trade ships that were doing Safi? These ones? Yeah, they're doing Safi. That's fine. Okay, so they're heading back to port, which is good. We're bringing an army over to protect the colony. So once we have 3 colonies, we'll need 3 armies of 6,000 people protecting them, which will diminish our actual army considerably. Hence the reason for not being very aggressive. Apparently we have too many military leaders, which is interesting. I would have thought we would have been okay with 2, but perhaps not. So because we don't have a colonist there yet, we have to transport because we can't land there. Tunis is spying on us. Okay, so the army's there. I'm going to join these ships up with the others, and they're going to become a single colonial navy. Okay, so the other thing we got is this little flag, which I think we've had before. You can make states, generally well worth doing. On this occasion we don't need to core it. Oh, I didn't think we needed to core it. Well, that's interesting, we do. Wonder if that's a change. Okay, well we should call this one. No, we've always had to. Sorry. We should call this one because it's never going to become a colonial nation. What you shouldn't do is worry about coring provinces that will become colonial nations because they can core them. So we don't want to waste our admin power because it takes admin power to core them. Okay, so this is a bit where we have to be nasty. So we've got 3 options. We can do this one, which, to be honest, seems to be the only one that really allows you to compete as a colonial nation. So it's probably what we're going to do. This one tends to involve giving you better trading options, which kind of makes sense, but your colonies don't grow as fast. Or you can do this one, which, yeah, it's interesting. Because this sort of seems like it ought to make us grow faster, but for some reason it doesn't. Yeah, increase the frequency of arrays would allow our colonies to grow faster, so we really have to go with this. I didn't used to, because I don't particularly like it as an option. But then I was wondering why all the computer colonies were growing so much faster than ours. And that turned out to be why, when I looked into it. So, there you go. Right, so our Caribbean colony is well on its way. Not sure where Castile are up to with theirs. Have they started this one? Can you even tell if it's Terra Incognita? I'm not sure. So we'll try and keep an eye out for them colonising. The other one that's often in reach is this one, which is a very strong native presence. So it's not one you want to go for if you can avoid it. But it's often the one that France or England might get stuck with. Usually France, I think, because they're usually 3rd when it comes to colonising. Okay, so what's taking damage? These ships here. Well, can't be helped. They're moving back as fast as they are able. Alright, so my next question is, why do I have 2 military leaders? I appear to have 2 explorers. I don't need 2 explorers. I'm not sure what's going on there. But the conquistador should really be with the main army. Don't think we'll need them in the colony. Okay, so the other one we had was Defender of the Faith. That's related to religion again. And it has a lot of pluses, but it also means you can be pulled into fighting wars. So as Portugal, I'm really not keen to do this. It's more something if you're a military country. So I'm going to ignore that completely, even though it has some benefits. We're just going to leave it. And also we kind of need the money. Speaking of, I'm hoping we can now call a diet again. Looks like we don't have disloyal estates anymore, which is nice. Okay, so clergy want us to invest, which I'm inclined to do because it will help spread the Renaissance. Manpower reserves is bringing the nobility. That would allow us to do nothing, and they want us to increase our commercial presence in the Tunis trade node, which can be complicated. So I think we'll go with the proposal of the clergy. It's going to cost us admin power, but it will help the institution to spread faster. I think this will go up faster anyway once Lisboa has finally embraced it. One more military one. But we do need administrative power to do this. Oh, sorry, we also need to increase one of the others, so we're going to have to increase their military power as well, so we can up the admin, and then we're going to have to wait for them both to recover for a bit. But it's not a bad thing. Okay, what do we have? What have we gained? High income? High income. That one does tend to take care of itself. So we do have one for build buildings, so we need at least one more church and 5 workshops. So seeing as we haven't had those as part of our recent diet, I think we should just go ahead and do them. I think our native Portuguese lands are the best option. Oh, maybe not. Actually, a church would be very good there. So no problem there. And then we need workshops. I haven't forgotten that we need money for the Renaissance, but it still seems a long way into the future. So Tanger is a good place for a workshop. So these are more to do with trade. Lisboa, of course. I don't think Porto can take one. Oh no, Porto already has one. So I think that might be 5. In fact, I think that might be more than 5. Okay, so that's what we need, so we can start rebuilding our finances slowly. Very much like to know why these trade ships haven't gone anywhere. I specifically sent you to protect the Ivory Coast. So why aren't you off doing that? Okay, so these ships need to recover. And I think we're maybe coming up to the end. So yeah, not the most interesting session we've ever had, but we did at least finish our first colony, so that's good. I'm hoping that puts us in a good position to do the colonialism institution to start it off. France and England are probably distracted. Castile oddly doesn't seem to be moving very fast either. So we apparently, despite our military adventures, have managed to get the drop on everyone for colonising, which is brilliant. This will speed up as we get more diplomatic ideas. So, brilliant. Let us stop there, and I will see you next time.